Imagine having an AI-powered search engine for candidate profiles from across the open web and even from within your own ATS. Well, that's exactly what HireTool is. HireTool is a global talent platform that serves all recruiters, from small businesses to the world's largest enterprises. And with 750 million plus profiles from over 45 open web sources and channels and 30 plus integration partners, there's literally something for everyone. Recruiters can find more talent with AI sourcing, send unlimited emails, and integrate with your favorite recruitment tools all in one platform. If you're spending hours looking for qualified candidates, underrepresented talent, and updated contact information, then HireTool is probably what you need for your toolkit. HireTool is a platform that helps great recruiters accomplish more every single day. Check them out at hiretool.com. Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of the HR Famous Podcast. I'm Tim Sackett, your host today. A little gravelly in the voice. You guys hear that? I did a lot of yelling last night. I was at the Michigan State basketball game.
COVID.
And got the opportunity to sit on the floor seats, big baller seats.
Baller.
I have to tell you, it might have ruined basketball for me for the rest of my life.
Is it because the sweat was flying on you and that was too gross for you?
No.
What would ruin it for me.
It was so amazing to be that close. And then I got, I'll do a name drop reference that you won't care, JLee, but what KD will. So I'm sitting in my seats courtside, KD, and who comes and sits right next to me?
Mm-hmm.
Steve Smith.
Big guy. He's got to spread out his legs, 6'8".
Yeah.
I'm automatically worried that crowded you a little bit because he's got. When we went to the Michigan State football game, I saw him walking.
Yeah.
Legend Steve Smith, but obviously hobbled a little bit through 25 years of organized basketball.
Yeah, no, I didn't. He didn't really squeeze me like, I think he's used to sitting in those seats. He kept his space pretty well. So, we had fun with it. But I had a big group of family. And then Keaton had a bunch of friends. And so we had a fun time. But I'm like, oh, these seats are exponentially better than sitting anywhere else in the arena. Now I know why people pay that much for those seats. I got lucky. I didn't have to pay a lot. So
two questions, and Jay will have some after I ask these. A, did you have to mask up?
So you'll laugh. We come down, you have to walk all the way down to the floor, right? And there was
I love a conditioned answer.
And
this is awesome. This is like really a yes/no question, but please explain why you didn't wear the mask.
And there's a security person, and I walked down, and I didn't have a mask on. And this is Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, NBA arena. So, you didn't have to wear one in the arena. But as I get to the end, Keaton actually had read that if you sit on the floor seats, you have to wear a mask.
That's why I asked.
So security goes, would you like a mask? And I go, no. And she's like, okay. And I went and sat down. And again, like nobody else said even, Steve didn't have a mask. Like no one really had a mask. I mean, there's a few people here and there, I guess, but I'm sure.
Is this the NFL
player,
Steve? The NFL player, Steve Smith?
NBA.
Great question, Jay.
Yeah, but there's a lot of Steve Smiths. Yeah.
I like JLee's knowledge of diva type receivers in NFL history, though, to come up with Steve Smith. That's awesome.
No, all I did was Google it. I was just gonna say, but Google says he's only 5'9". So, like, is he that tall? What?
Yeah.
Hey, so both of you will like this story. So, for the audience, Tim puts his picture courtside to Jessica and I.
Yeah.
And I happen to be at a high school game in Birmingham at the State Fair Arena in the heart of Birmingham.
It looked nice.
Yeah.
Well, you had the right take on it, JLee, when you said, I'm living tonight like KD's living, not like you, Tim. That was an accurate assessment.
And by the way, we could have sat courtside too in that picture. Like there was nobody stopping.
The seats were open.
Correct. So that was after my son's game. But anyway, so it's a city versus metro tournament. So all the city schools square off against metro schools outside of the city limits of Birmingham for 3 straight days. And city of Birmingham has a few things in place, unlike the suburbs, So you walk in with a mask, you get inside and you automatically see that no one is wearing a mask. And you're like the outsider for wearing one. So most people, I won't get into me, most people take those masks off, and then 4 times a game, they read a long statement from the city of Birmingham, like requiring masks, and no one does anything. And they're
I
just
feel
like,
sorry
check.
for the person reading the announcement.
It's all, isn't it like, it's one of those things like, oh yes, we do have a mask mandate. And then everybody's like, okay, cool,
Right.
good, thank you. That's
Hey,
what I
my
wanted to make
last
sure you
question
had
about
this.
Tim, my last question about Steve Smith. Jessica's going to come in on this one too, I bet. Did you, so I wanted to know if you wore a mask. My second question was, did you ask Steve Smith for his favorite Mutombo stories?
I did not. That he probably would have opened up. He actually, like at halftime, a bunch of guys took off and it was just him and I, and we talked a little bit. Like, you know, he's a nice guy. Like he would have shared whatever. Like he probably would have laughed at that question. So
Jessica, do you know who
Are you
Mutombo
guys
is?
besties now? Yeah, I know who Mutombo is. But are you guys besties now? Like, did you guys exchange phone numbers?
no, but I have a good Jerome Bettis story where we exchanged phone numbers. And then he never called me.
Does Steve
Wow.
Smith have staffing needs, Tim?
I don't know. I don't know if he does or not. Hey, by the way, Katie, you'll love this because his son is on the Michigan State team as a walk-on. His son is nowhere close to where his father is in terms of basketball player, but Steve is a
What a
very
disappointment.
Steve is a very generous person. I think he's given like 25 million to Michigan State for different things, right? Buildings and different things. So his son, you know, got a position on the bench with Izzo. Couple of things that happened. One is during announcements of the teams and stuff, Izzo catches Steve Smith's eye across there and did like the salute thing to him, and he did it back. And then at halftime, Izzo walked right over to Steve and said a couple of things that I couldn't hear, even though I'm like right next to him, and then walked off.
Right.
And then at the end, like literally every person, and then his son too, right before the announcements, came over and gave his dad a hug. You know, I thought was cool. You know, so obviously very close to the team enough where, you know, multiple people are engaging with him on the side. You know, there. So, anyways, you know, inside.
Did you turn around to Keaton? Did you turn around to Keaton, your oldest son, and kind of like say, "Where's my hug?"
Yeah,
like, hey, come on,
yeah,
let's show Steve.
He just
Jessica, you knew who
punched
Mutombo
me.
was? Do you know what Mutombo's voice sounds like, Jessica?
Isn't it super deep? Like he's
like
got
the
a Barry
Cookie
White
Monster.
voice. Yeah, he's got a Barry White Cookie Monster.
It's who wants to. And there's like some pop culture things that go with that I won't get in there.
Does voices of people. We need a whole episode.
Just keep doing that voice.
Jessica.
I'm gonna have nightmares. Thanks.
ATL, right. By the way, Steve Smith in the ATL with Mutombo for many years. Shout out to the ATL.
So anyways, had a great time. So, but my voice, a lot of yelling, screaming, you know, good game. They played Oakland, you know, the coach for Oakland, Greg Campy, KD. And
I believe so. I believe is he the guy from when they went to the NCAAs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been there forever. He's a coach cut out of the KD cloth. So they play Oakland University, which is a small university, right? Small arena. And so at halftime, they actually interview him, and then it goes over to the entire arena. Now, when you come to the NBA arena, they did the same thing. And I have to tell you, it was gold because he was upset. His team was losing, not rebounding, and he just let him have it and have the entire arena listen to that. I thought was the funniest thing ever. I'm like, this is amazing. Every coach should have to do a live interview at halftime to the entire arena.
And it should have to be real and authentic.
Exactly. Pissed off at your kids. All right, I'm going to start with this. We'll get into it. The people don't want to hear about my high style life. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. I don't know. You know, we didn't take a jet down. We just took a helicopter. But anyways, on the way in this morning, I heard that Bruce Springsteen, I know you guys are giant Boss fans. Probably not. But anyways, they sold his catalog to Sony for $500 million. Now we've heard these stories, you know, from different artists, you know, along the line. My question to you guys, if you could personally buy a catalog of music from one artist or a group, right? I mean, musical group, who would you pick? Jay, I'll start with you.
So this is not because I like her, but because I believe she's got the hits and is I don't know if people realize how many of the hits she's got. I think they'd want to buy Mariah Carey's catalog. Not that I can afford it, but Mariah
Yeah.
Carey, I'm going Mariah Carey. I mean,
Hey,
she's got some Christmas hits, guys.
Jay, what's the Christmas song that
Amazing.
goes #1 every year that she has?
Oh, All I Want for Christmas Is You.
I saw she makes $30 million a year just on that one song.
All the streaming. It is a nonstop hit. Amazing. That's my pick.
Sing me a line. I can't remember that one. How it goes?
No, thank you. Chris, you want to do it in
Chris,
in a
Chris,
special
do it in
voice?
Matumbo
I'll do it
voice.
in Matumbo voice.
Yeah, please, please.
All Matumbo wants for Christmas.
This is amazing.
Do you think this is funny to anyone else?
I hope not. I hope not. That's exactly why
my
we made this
brother-in-law, my
podcast.
brother-in-law will like it. He'll like it. He's
All
the
right.
only one.
So you got Mariah Carey, good investment. You definitely
Yeah.
get that. I was hoping that you would go with like a favorite though, but okay, I got it. So KD,
So
I
I'm always
know what the
interested
TV
in
is
how much.
say.
I know.
You don't, because I already thought about that one. I think it all comes down to like value for the money, right? It depends how much money you have and what you can afford. I would go Nirvana just
I was gonna
because
say
it's
that was one of your two.
I was
Yes.
Blink 182.
you were going to
right?
go Blink for the other one, right?
Yeah, of course.
Blink 182. But I go Nirvana just because it captures like an entire time frame. And I could go more obscure during that time frame. I'd go like Soundgarden, and I'd be proud of that catalog, but it's not the same. Kind of comes down to the money you have.
You're going grunge,
But
though.
yeah, I would go grunge because it captures the whole thing. By the way, does anybody else feel like 500 million is low for Springsteen?
I
Do you
didn't.
feel like he
I
thought
don't-
it was low?
I don't think so.
No,
The market
not in the
right-
context of like what others sell for.
They said the market right now for like streaming services to buy artist catalogs is gigantic. Like it's just so hot because I mean, if you think of like Spotify, Apple Music, all those, I think they said they added 100 million new subscribers in 2000, and they expect that
Oh
number
my
will
gosh.
increase by 200 to 300 million more in the next couple of years. And it's a constant kind of stream of revenue. So they said like the actual like investment is a pretty good one. Like they're getting money back on a lot of that stuff, from all of that. Now, doing Taylor Swift, someone bought her catalog and then she went and just re-recorded everything. So I
That
think
would
there's
be
always
Scooter Braun.
there's
Yep.
issues with all that stuff, right? By the way, I think I would.
No,
Go
so
ahead.
the Beatles, like theirs is valued at like 500 million as well. So it's like in the context of that,
Wow, yeah, I would think the Beatles would be more
Springsteen's
than
been
Bruce
good.
Springsteen.
You would think, right? I
You would
agree.
think. I think at first I was like going, oh, I'm gonna definitely like Taylor Swift was an option because I mean she's got but then I'm like, well, she's just gonna re-record everything, so why would I choose her? I was stuck between Prince and Michael Jackson. I think Michael Jackson ultimately would win out because I think that that total like catalog would be a little deeper than what Prince had, but that's where I was. No reaction to that.
I feel
You go
poor.
figure.
Well, I'm just thinking about the number. I just feel poor. That's all. This whole conversation's making me feel very poor. Starting with, I was sitting courtside and I'm like rubbing elbows with famous people, and I just
Matumbo.
I'm sitting on
Matumbo.
Matumbo, sitting on the floor of a child's bedroom and just living the dream in
Hey,
comparison.
by the way, Tim, underrated. So I'm going 6 degrees of separation here. I'm going Steve Smith to Matumbo and
Mhm.
Jessica laughing at my Matumbo
Mhm.
like vibe today. Underrated. What's the movie with what's the movie set in Hawaii that we like, Tim?
You like it so much.
Forgetting
you
Sarah
don't know.
Marshall.
Oh
Forgetting
my
Sarah Marshall.
So good.
So it's got that actor, and like a totally underrated thing to do related to Matumbo is call a tall person Matumbo in a derogatory fashion. So Jessica, there's this great scene from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. It's a throwaway scene where he's on the red carpet with Sarah Marshall, and he's in the shot because he's her boyfriend, and a photographer like yells at him, "Out of the shot, Matumbo."
That's funny.
Okay, now you got to sing the vampire song. Blah.
It's getting hard to believe. I got to do it in the Dracula
It's hard
voice,
to
right?
believe things are going to get better. Blah.
It's like being that tall is so weird though. Like, can we just say this? Like, I saw Yao Ming in person once because he came to our office,
7'6",
and
right?
it was, yeah, it was disturbing how tall he is. But here's the thing, we are never going to get to your topics. When you're that tall, you have to imagine how big are their toenails. This is what freaks me out. And what does it take to cut those toenails? You can't use a regular toenail clipper. You need like pliers
Like
or
a
something.
Dremel.
And that's
Yeah.
all. Yes,
They
that's
do.
all I can think about. How do they cut their toenails? I'm
So-
sure they go to a salon, but still, it creeps me out. It's crazy.
Jessica, a lot of people.
Now you're never going to unsee it.
No.
Never unsee it.
A lot of people are weirded out by toenails, right, Jessica? You know this.
But think about tall people's toenails. Even weirder.
I don't think it has to be
So
just
gross.
giant feet toenails, right? Like when I remember,
Oh.
like when they used to have like Shaq shoes, like in a like the Nike
Oh.
town or whatever, and you could actually just with your own shoes on step inside of Shaq's shoes and go, "Holy crap, this dude's feet are enormous."
Hi there, I'm Peter Zollman. I'm a co-host of the Inside Job Boards and Recruitment Marketplaces podcast.
And I'm Stephen Rothberg, and I guess that makes me the other co-host.
Every other week, we're joined by guests from the world's leading job sites.
Together, we analyze news about general, niche, and aggregator job board and recruitment marketplaces sites.
Make sure you sign up and subscribe today.
Oh.
Okay. So we're going to get to some HR topics here because that's what we do here at HR Famous. My first topic, I sent you guys like a small little kind of article around this concept of somehow Uber got us to be okay with waiting, right, for a ride, and how they did that for all of us that use Uber, which is, or Lyft or any of those, kind of ride services, is they put the map up with a car. And you get to see the little car drive around the map. It's driving closer to you. And we all know, like, the chimes change. It was like 7 minutes, and then it's 3 minutes. Now it's back to 7 minutes. But it doesn't matter because we get to watch the car kind of come towards us. And we become fine with waiting because of this little kind of design element that Uber started called the Uber map. So I'm asking you guys, like, from a recruiting TA perspective and a candidate experience perspective, what kind of Uber map type design could we put in place that would help candidates, I think, have a better experience, or at least perceive that they're having a better experience in terms of the wait time, in terms of the process and the steps and everything that we make them kind of go through? Katie, I'll start with you. Any ideas, any things that you would say, hey, this is Uber map like?
Well, you could say that you're 3 days away from the hiring manager looking at your resume. Would that help?
Hey, it wouldn't
I'm
hurt.
joking.
No, but like that's the concept, right? Is that if someone
Yeah.
knows, like, oh, holy crap, like they're actually going to look at it because I got told, and then you could see like the hiring manager walking towards the resume, like on an app, like
So my hot take would be that you commit to a day where you're going to make the decision. That would be the most value added thing, because you can't necessarily commit that you can get to somebody by a certain day. That's full of like fraught and peril. But what you could do is say we're 21 days away from making our decision.
and then
I
have
think
it, have
that
it
type of
count down,
certainty
right?
overall, and then
Yeah.
and then feedback like on that would be like the best thing you could do. The other thing it would do from the app perspective is it would put pressure on the hiring manager that that's the deadline that was given, just like all the other priorities they have kind of on their desk. Jessica, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I was thinking about the hiring manager too. And you know what it made me like wonder is like right now with everyone having challenges in hiring, I feel like there's so much conversation about pay, benefits, But I also wonder about like candidate experience, and maybe it's because I'm just not in TA day to day anymore. But I do wonder about candidate experience and like pressure around speed, and like how do you make sure people are being really accountable. But you know, the other thing I wonder is like if you put up all the steps and timeframes around it, I don't think most candidates recognize like all the different steps that are actually involved and the different hands that are, you know, in the mix that, you know, are managing the process. And so some transparency around it. And it's probably overcomplicated, but in terms of number of people involved, number of steps. But I just wonder if that transparency could be helpful. You know, like someone is literally walking your resume down the hallway. Now it's in someone's inbox, and now it goes from here to there. And I don't think people realize all
Well,
this stuff.
like Amazon, UPS, FedEx, all of these companies have taken on those same kinds of things, right? That shows you, like, you can take your tracking number and go, oh, it's stuck in a distribution center in DC, so I know for sure it's not getting here today. At least you know kind of where it stands. Now, some ATSs will say, oh, well, we do that. We show the candidate where they're at in the process. I'm like, but it's too non-specific. Like, I love Katie.
It's so high level.
It's a
Yeah,
stage,
your
right?
example,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I will tell you, like that concept is called hiring velocity, and Jerome at Smart Recruiters kind of came up with that, or him and his team, and it was in his book. Not a shout out to that book, but just saying like that's where it kind of came from, which is
We only shout out your books.
I
exactly.
think the Talent Fix had a lot of those principles first. Tim Sackett.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure it was there in concept. But no, but it is getting a hiring manager to say, hey, this is the date we are going to actually have the hire, or have the, you know, the start date or whatever. And then you work backwards from that. But you know, I think Katie, you took it one step farther by saying, hey, how do we actually go and let somebody know, right, that, you know, hey, this is exactly how many days you are away from whatever. The other thing, JLee, I liked was that you said, could we let them know? So let's say that they made the interview stage, and it was them and 5 or 4 they were one of 5 that's going to interview. And you could say, hey, your interview is at this date. By the way, the other 4 interviews are taking place between this date and this date. And then we have the decision date, like coming, you know, after this. I think it's another way to let them know, go, okay, I got it. Because I think people are willing to wait if they know. What happens is we don't tell them anything, and they feel like they're on an island out there.
But don't you think that's also like part of a recruiter or hiring manager's job? Like when you're saying that, I think that's like the norm for me as a hiring manager, and the norm for me as a recruiter is like I would be transparent. Like, you're one of 4 candidates that we're interviewing, so I just want to manage your expectations and let you know, like, this is where we're at, this is when the other interviews are, and blah blah blah. I feel like if we're not saying those things, that's not good.
I do agree with you. I do think it is part of that job, but it's not happening, and thus it's you know, we get this kind of, or it's not consistently happening. I think we do it with some, like if we have a candidate that interviews that we know is really good and we like, but we still have a couple others, we might keep in contact with the one we like, but we're not going to be consistent and do it for every single one. Where I think maybe technology could have a part of that. I don't know. Katie, any others? Is there anything else out there like Uber Map like?
I like what we've talked about. I think all those things, I think Jessica's ad is good. Number of candidates, like you're one of 4. And you could see that number count down as they get dispositioned.
Ooh, there we go.
That would be kind of cool, right?
Hey, you're still
like
in the
4,
mix.
and now I'm 2.
Yeah.
And you could go green or red, right? Like to show, well, it's 2, but if you haven't checked your email, that means you got an email.
Yeah.
Or someone's left you a voicemail, you know, since we're being logistically excellent here. But I think just that whole countdown and put pressure on the hiring manager to deliver, just like an Amazon driver has pressure to deliver it.
Yep.
Like in a certain time frame. I think that Jessica's how many candidates, then maybe a countdown on the candidates would be really cool, because by the way, that would create incredible engagement on the candidate side.
Oh, yeah.
Has it changed?
Yeah.
Is it still?
I got one.
Do you know how, like, when we text
I
each
got
other and you'll say congratulations, and on the iPhone, like, all the confetti will come flying down? If the person was the last one, like, you're like, hey, it went from 2 to 1, congratulations, and the confetti would fall down. Like,
I don't get enough confetti
I'll send you
in my
more
text
confetti.
stream. Yeah, hit me one. Jay, you had something. What'd you have?
I got one. we should put to be Uber like hiring manager ratings like out for display, just like you see driver ratings.
I love
You know
that.
what? Oh
Yep.
my God. What, like, if you really saw that, because as a
Oh,
candidate, you have no clue about this manager.
hey, by the way, too, wouldn't it be great to see like even the number of like rides, the number of hires, or number of interviews? Like, hey, this
Yeah.
candidate, you know, since they've been in this position, has had 327 interviews, and their rating for those is this. Like, you would change the behavior of your managers in a really big way, don't you think?
I smell a revenue stream for ATSs called individual reputation management.
Yep, I like it. That's a great
Well,
one, Jay. I really like that one.
yeah, I mean,
All
it's
right.
great.
Okay, well, like the audience can think about this. When I saw the concept of the Uber map thing, and it hit me that I'm like, oh, you're right. I could care less now, because before, if you think about traditionally, we would have to call a taxi, and then they would go, okay, yeah, we'll have somebody there, and then like in like 15 minutes. But you had no idea. You didn't know if they were going to be in 15, and then all of a sudden you had to wait for like 18, and you were losing your mind because it was over 15 because you didn't get to see the little cab driver like coming at you. Okay. All right, I got another small segment that I want to discuss, and I think this has like major impact to everybody. And I have a stat. So the U.S. population. So this is from the most recent. What do they call that when they do the measurement of all census? So for 2021, the U.S. population grew 0.1% in 2021, or that's the estimated, right? Because we're not done, obviously, but they kind of know, big numbers. It was the lowest amount since 1918, when they had the major influenza pandemic and World War I kind of happened simultaneous. And I think when we take a look at, like, when I talk with executives, they continue to want to hammer HR and TA for not being able to fill positions. And of course, there are things that we can do better in HR and TA always, and continue to get better, kind of piece by piece. But we have a major issue here. Like, we have a demographic kind of issue facing us, where we're not replacing as fast as we're losing. And then part of what they said on the census was, hey, by the way, yeah, the pandemic's had an impact. Obviously our birth rate has had a major impact, and probably the biggest impact overall. The third one was immigration, what I want to talk about to you guys, because if you think about immigration and how we hire right now, legally in the US on a normal non-pandemic year, we give out around 300,000 total visas. And that's considering like H-1Bs, F-1s, like all the different kinds, right? And there's limits like on some of these, like H-1Bs, and then there's like an H-2A, which is like for like farm type workers, like hourly workers. There's like all kinds of different visa stuff that we do. And then you have all the illegal immigration that takes place, which is exponentially, larger than 300,000. But should we really kind of relook at immigration in terms of work, knowing that we don't even have enough workers in the U.S. to fill the jobs we have? So, Jay, I'll start with you. And I really just want to discuss the concept, right? Because of the hiring needs we have from currently and moving into the future demographically. Do we have to revamp immigration? If so, do you have any ideas what that should look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the interesting things that companies seem to be grappling with right now is, ability to leverage people on visas to fill the talent gaps that exist. And so, are there enough? I think is a good question. One of the things I'm really curious about, though, is like the types of visas and whether or not like you're going to see movement in certain numbers. Like, people are using a ton of J1s, but a lot of these things are like short term. And I just wonder, like, do we need to see more of things that are like in the H-1B space, where it's longer term, it's different caliber of talent, and that it's, because these short term stints, people come in for 3 months, 6 months, whatever, a year max, and then they're out the door, and you feel like it's a big loss unless you can convert them into something, more permanent. So it's the length of time and the type of talent that we're willing to offer is probably like a question in my mind, is like, does it need to become more diverse, more broad? that's probably like the big thing for me, because that short-term thing just not helping. And let alone, like, we can, like, this is an assumption that maybe we should just call out also, that I'm not even go here, but like the process also to be able to hire someone on a visa, especially like in the H-1B space. I mean, the cost to do that, the process, like, that's a pain. That's not
Oh,
helping
the
anybody.
the paperwork. I mean, we do these internally, in the paperwork nightmare in the process. It's the biggest joke in the world, right? I mean, it's completely
It's
government
horrible.
regulation, red tape kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Katie, this is top of mind to me because when I was coming back from my courtside seat last night, I happened to get home a little bit after 10 o'clock. I pull into the Taco Bell, and it's closed. There's not enough workers for me to get my Taco Bell fix after 10 o'clock. And so for me, I'm like, what are we doing for hourly workers from an immigration standpoint? Because you and I both agree that people from outside the country in many, many areas want to come to the U.S. because they still believe in this kind of American dream. And we see it kind of happen time and time again with immigration. And why aren't we allowing more hourly workers in to take the jobs that clearly Americans don't want, and these people would love to have, and then give them this path to citizenship? I sound like a Democrat
So
right
was there a question in there, or was there a question? I heard courtside seats.
now. Taco Bell, I need more hourly
I heard
workers.
courtside seats, and then it got like blurry for me. No, I mean, on a serious note, if you just think about this, right? Like, I don't know a single person that like doesn't cheer for somebody coming to America and doing great things. I don't know a single person like in my like circle of influence that doesn't see somebody going through the citizenship like ceremony and doesn't like give it a hell yeah, right? So like, to me, we need a lot more, but there's a trade-off. Like, you have to have like a great policy on illegal immigration. I'm not like an expert, right? I don't know, but I just know that you've got to have control of the borders, and then you've really got to open up those numbers. Like, I don't like 300,000 sounds like minuscule compared to what's needed.
Tiny amount. Yeah.
Tiny.
I think you have to go like times 10 of the investment that you're making in the immigration process and border control and all of that. You got to go times 10 to do what's necessary to get control of illegal immigration. But then you got to blow you need like new categories, right?
Mhm.
You need new categories where you're like, hey, come here. We're going to give you the easy visa. And if you work for 5 years here and pay taxes on the easy visa, that's not complicated, you get citizenship.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. Let's go. Right. But I think you've got to exponentially increase your investment in everything related to that in order to get the talent in and to bring everybody like on the bus. Because right now everybody points to the borders. It's highly political. But again, I'll just go back to what I know. I don't know anybody in my domain that doesn't see a great American story with someone who looks different than them and doesn't cheer about it. Yeah. Like, I don't know anybody like that. And I think that's what the vast majority of America is. But I just think you gotta handle both ends, and you got to really multiply your investment.
Yeah. I truly believe that we have to figure this out, because I think historically we would say, or, and even like unions have been one of the bigger ones to kind of fight against this, which is like, hey, we can't take American jobs away from Americans. The reality is that is not the case right now. We have a decreasing population that is not replacing itself, and we need more people. Otherwise, Tim's can't get his Taco Bell at 10 p.m. at night, or like a lot of other things, right? That's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of small businesses that go out of business because they can't find workers, or Jessica, you see it at Marriott, like where you go, hey, we have capacity to put more people in hotel rooms, but we can't do it because we can't clean them fast enough because we don't have enough workers. I mean, it's happening at every level. And I think we have to kind of figure that out. But Katie, you said,
Jay, Tim's talking about the services industry. What I'd like to see is somewhere in another country, there's someone that is going to get access to come into America. They're going to start a business. They're going to do great things. And ultimately, they're going to price Tim out of those courtside tickets. That, Jessica,
Hey,
is the dream.
That's the American dream. Go
They're
for
going
it,
to price
man.
Tim out
Do
of
it.
that where he can't get into it. And you know what? That's America.
That's
what I want to see.
That is America. By the way, there is still a huge and healthy appetite for many people in other countries to come into the US and work in services industry or otherwise. And it's so difficult. The numbers are constrained, but like you see crazy behavior happening around scams for people who are trying to get a visa through a total scam where they're having to put money up front. They think that they, are getting some dream job and they're not, and they're just throwing money down the drain to someone who's taking it and running in terms of their money. And so it's crazy. Like until this is fixed and until we broaden it and make it easier, you have people who are really helpless that are being taken advantage of when they are just, dreaming, dying, get here. So it's just really sad.
So more to come over the next couple of years. We're going to see. I think this is going to be a hot topic in the 2024 election cycle. I don't think it's going to be necessarily a hot topic in the midterms because we have so many other pandemic financial type things that we're facing.
Ugh.
But I know immigration will end up being a gigantic kind of issue that we continue to face, especially as we continue to lose workers to retirement. Like the most recent number I saw was like in the baby boomer population, 4 million have left the workforce during the pandemic and they will not return, right? So we're losing not just a few 100,000 workers, we're losing millions of workers that we have to find a way to replace. And we're not going to do that, without finding bodies. That's just kind of what it goes. So what did we learn today? We learned Tim always wants to sit courtside. I'm definitely one that loves the experience to great tickets. So Jay and Katie, if you want to invite me to a Broadway show, a concert, an athletic event, just know I will tell you no unless they're really good tickets. Like that's just who I am, and I'm just going to throw it out there. I want great tickets, and if they're not great tickets, I would just rather not go. To be quite honest, that's just who I am. So
Jessica, I'm famous for trying to sell Tim on the high diagonal seat in arenas. He loves that when I talk about the value of the high diagonal.
Hey, for $63, we can get 45 rows up on the corner.
It's a great value.
KD and I see those as opposites.
You won't see Mutombo in those seats, by the way.
All right, folks, that's what we have for you today. We need more bodies. We need to figure out a way to help candidates understand where they're at in the process, Uber map it, figure it out. And then I would buy Michael Jackson. KD would buy Nirvana. And then Jay going with a classic Mariah Carey because that's an ATM machine when you get her. Like that's gonna handle it. So. Right. For Jessica Lee, Chris Dunn, I'm Tim Sackett. That's HR Famous. Another episode in the books. We'll see you guys next time.